Hey, Gavin.
Hey, Ivan.
Well, as a starters, let's make a brief introduction. I mean,
Sure.
uh, more you because they basically heard me a lot. So, like,
Yeah,
who's Kevin and what is he doing at Esportian?
sure. Cavin is 27 years old. Um, he's from Iran, from an Iranian family. And what am I doing at Esportian? I'm currently taking care of partnerships and marketing at Esportian. Um, but I started with a law background, and then I came into business kind of in the last year.
Okay.
If I can go into more detail about what we do at partnerships, um, we're trying to find a way to grow Esportian through partnerships, strategic partnerships with organizations, affiliates, content creators, which I think is a bit more scalable in the long term as opposed to straight up recruitment.
Mhm. And before we go into like the details, like what drew you to like work in the esports and education industry? Like, what's your background? Yeah.
Sure. Well, my background to get into esports and gaming isn't so much a professional background. I just really like esports. I've been playing esports for like 12, 13 years now, I think. And if I can say so myself, I thought I got pretty good at the game. But I thought at one point I thought that my favorite game, League of Legends, was becoming less popular, and I got a little bit worried. All that time I put in, and I was like, what if this game dies? I can't have that happening. So I was like, okay, what can I do to try to do my part in making it survive longer? And I thought what Esportian is doing is coming in at the grassroots level and kind of guaranteeing the survivability of esports, specifically League of Legends as well. And I thought this is my way to kind of secure. It's for very selfish reasons. I just want to make sure that I can still keep playing the game down the line.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saksham here in the comment section. Looking forward to this one. Saksham, if you want to leave some comments, always some questions, always welcome.
Yeah. So,
But,
so I've got a plan with Seksham to take my revenge in paddle after all that slander he did in his talk.
well, Barcelona. When you're back in Barcelona, we have a
Yeah.
paddle pin then. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, what is your like? Because when you came, okay,
Hmm.
like into position, you like basically made like an amazing plan. So like can you
Hmm.
explain what that plan is like? What is your approach to building those partnerships with orgs, content creators, or or coaches? Like, what is that plan that you are executing in? Where do you see that going?
Well, it started with I was living with Attila, who started at Esportian before I did, and we had many talks about what Esportian was doing. And it started as like the service that Esportian does, the product that it offers, is super attractive to me. I think it's like it's it's really honorable and valuable. So I was already interested, but then I heard about like the way that Esportian operates, and I like no offense, I was kind of critical of the scalability of that. Like so, to get more students, you need more recruiters, and as it gets bigger and bigger, you kind of like how do you keep up? Um, and so I thought, okay, we need to hit nodes that have bigger communities, that has access to bigger communities, so that people can find out more about us. Then my plan was to do it that way, but then as I started and tried to execute this plan, I realized we were hitting some challenges, which is people don't really know that this is an option. So now we have a new job. Okay, not only do we need to grow esports, but in order to grow esports, people need to know that collegiate esports is an industry that's on the rise. Collegiate esports, or just attending college, is something that esports players could really use, because the shelf life of an esports professional is quite short. And then afterwards, um, to be blunt, it's like esports professionals are kind of treated as circus monkeys in my view. They're like, okay, dance for 4 years, and then once you're done, good luck. And there's no real support mechanism to maintain their career. So you see a lot of esports players after they're finished with their career go into coaching, streaming, or re-education and then reintegration into like a normal, or no, not normal, a more traditional job market, right? And so these are pain points that I think people need to know before they can actually appreciate the value of what Esportian offers. So coming in, I was like, okay, we need to work on scalability because the product's amazing. But then I started anticipating this information barrier that we need to cross. So now my approach is to inform people on like an awareness campaign of, hey, are you sure you've kind of thought about all the angles here? If you don't have a university degree and you go into esports, what happens next? So the challenge is, having been like an aspiring gamer myself, when you're that competitive and you're that young, to think about a plan B is damn near impossible, because you'd have to implicitly admit that there's a chance this couldn't work out, or there's a chance you're not going to be the greatest of all time, which just doesn't compute with that I'm the best attitude, you know. So it's definitely a challenge trying to figure out how to get this point across so that Esportian's value, which is true, is appreciated to the right extent, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
what other challenges did you face right now in your position? They're getting the information out to the players. What else?
Yeah. Definitely, given where our focus has been in Esportian before, coming in and starting a new approach parallel to recruitment, there's definitely budget constraints, especially on a marketing side, where if you want to try influencer marketing, most influencers won't want to work on a commission basis because it can take time to set up a funnel or a pipeline. So it's tough. The challenge is to find people and have a genuine conversation with them and see if they understand like the true goal of Esportian and have them be on board. And once they're on board and realize that this is, you know, an honorable and like a passion project, then compensation becomes a little bit easier to talk about. So trying to get maximum effectiveness with a small budget, that's definitely been one of the biggest challenges so far.
Yeah. And what has been your journey? Because we started, with influencers. Now we're doing, student ambassadors. So like, can you explain a bit more what has been your journey from start to now, and how do you see the future with this new strategy?
Yeah, sure. So at the start, we were going for affiliates. We were like, okay, what geographical location would be best to target people who would be most likely to want to follow the customer journey of that Esportian is set up, go to the US, go study there and compete. Who is that most feasible for? So first we were targeting affiliates in that way, who has the biggest platform, who can reach the most people. Then we kept being hit with the budget constraints. So we're like, okay, what's the next option that we have? And it's like, oh, well, we have a pool of people who we've already helped, who we can use for marketing and get the message out there. They also have platforms. They also build trust that way. A big part of affiliate influencer marketing is that their communities trust them. So we want to build that trust. And even with the student ambassadors, it's also to some extent when you ask them to do more creative work and ask them to participate in marketing campaigns, they're a bit more curious about like what the compensation can look like. And so the budget constraints hit again. Then now we're looking at, okay, what can we do with the small amount of money that we want to invest, because it's experimental. We tried Avenue 1, we're trying Avenue 2, we're going to try Avenue 3. So we don't want to go all in on something without knowing that it might work out. So now we're just experimenting with all the different ways to try to get the message out there, to get over the information barrier, to generate interest and to grow. So now it's just experimenting. We're now going in to try a paid media approach. That should be launching around August 1st upon my arrival in Barcelona. But yeah, that's in the works, and we're going to see how that goes. And I think looking forwards, I think it could be very successful if we set it up correctly. Then we can generate more revenue this way, and then we can try something a little bit more ambitious. Still have to figure out the fine details on that part.
Yeah, Yeah, it's about validating, because there's not
Yeah,
a clear path. No,
yeah.
nobody has done it before, so it's a bit of a trial and error, and then
Yeah,
like going all in on what works. Yeah, and
yeah,
then it's been like that for the past 5 years. Trust me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's been a way. And like on our, you mentioned like letting people know about
Hmm.
Collegiate Esports and what Esportian is. Do you focus on like one segment that is students? Do you also focus on parents? Like
Yeah.
where's your messaging focused on?
So, I mean, it's a really good question because I should have thought of this when you asked about the challenges, because that's actually a key challenge. So, um, normally when you market something, you have like the target audience in mind. Um, and for things like, I don't know, cereal, it's pretty obvious if you make the cereal box a certain way and the flavors a certain way, the kids will get excited. They'll be like, hey, mom, dad, I really want this one. And then eventually they'll cave and say, fine, have this and not like a banana or something. Because it's also quite cheap. When you're doing something that involves your as a parent, from a parent's perspective, your child moving to a different country, perhaps even a different continent, and then B, it costs a lot of money and the most of the money comes from you're advertising to them, but they're not operating in the channels. They're not looking in the channels for the adverts. So you have to, or we have to, find a way to get the message across in an interesting enough manner to the students, where they can look at like an infographic or an ad, and it also needs to be mature enough that when they show that to their parents won't say, this is bullshit, or like gaming, like why are you doing that? So yeah, trying to navigate, like trying to balance between advertising for the students and advertising for maturity and reliability it's a tough line to walk, because on the one hand you want fast pace, you want lots of cool graphics, and then on the other hand you want to say, salary wise, this is safe, this is good, this is trusted, we're thinking for the future. So it's proving to be difficult, but we're obviously targeting the first eyes that are supposed to see our efforts are the students, yeah. And then
Yeah, because
then
I mean, when I worked in traditional sports, sending student athletes abroad, the parents already knew, about like sports scholarships, US,
mhm,
Canada. With these sports scholarships, okay, it's getting the attention of like the student, like this can be an opportunity for me. Let's get in a call and see, how we can make it work. But then it's also
yeah,
educating the parents and putting also, I always put the example about sports scholarships. They all aware of it. They all know about it. Then and translate it into like esports scholarships and what universities, have an esports program. And it's about like half of the call is educating the parents because
yeah,
the kids are pumped up already because they want, but like it's making the parents see like, okay, like they're going to go to university to study a degree, okay, and they're going to represent the university team, and that's why they give them, um, X amount of scholarship. And
exactly,
what the day to day is, that they're not just there to play video games 24/7. Like they need to like they need to pass, go to class, certain
yeah,
things to maintain the scholarship. So like making the parents realize that this is serious and this is a way, that the kid is good at video games. Might as well use it as a tool to finance their studies.
exactly,
So yeah.
yeah. And I mean, we also, I think we're coming to a point now where video games are less unsexy as they were like maybe 10 years ago, but still, when you're trying to convince parents, you still have to come up against that that stigma of that it's still like this nerdy thing in the basement thing. Even though it's not that way anymore, when people will be open to the idea, or like older generations are open to the idea that they're more cool and more sexy now, but when it gets serious and money's on the table, you go right back to the old stereotype of, okay, video games are a waste of time. So it's definitely something you have to work against. And to some extent, there's not much we can do at Esportian to fix that. It's much more the responsibility of the esports scene. They need to be louder. They need to be in different channels. Once it becomes more legitimate to all generations, then our job becomes easier as well, because then we don't have to be the lawyers of all video games and say, hey, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like I don't have the exact stat because we didn't calculate it, but like out of my head, it's like 90% of parents, the only thing they care, when they're having in a call with us, with Ati or me, is what universities, how much scholarship, like how much am I gonna save, and how much do I have to pay? Okay.
Yeah.
If my kids is happy, and it's gonna be engaged in university while he does academics, amazing. But that's what the prepare mentality, and then you switch to the kid, like so. In a call, it's just about like talking to the parent and talking to the kid at the same time, and for you, it's just focused on the student. But then when they go to the consultant phase, it's about doing a bit of that, and that's basically what
the fun part is thinking about when a student looks at our website or a video of ours or something, and then they put their phone back in their pocket, and later that evening they have a conversation with their parents, because we have no control over that conversation or like what we can help them say. And so at one point our marketing is being done by the student to their parents, and we just don't know how they're doing. We can't coach them.
But that's why we create the checklist, talking points about us, about the collegiate scene, because it was like an Australian student said, like, do you guys have like a checklist that I can show my parents about you guys? I'm like, I'll prepare that. Like, it's most of the ideas and our process is like students asking us questions about that, and we're like, actually, let me, so that's it. So, but if they don't have like clear documents or checklist when they talk to their parents, like it can be a disaster. So
I'm sure
that's super important. And also, I mean, that's why we have the rule of like, if they're less than 21, they have to be with their parents, because like they don't understand about finances, So.
Sure, and it's difficult as well. But I like that there's now like that requirement, so you can talk to the parents. And I wish there was a way that we could create the right thing where for the first half of the video it's for the students, for the second half of the video it's for the family, but it's like that's never going to work. But I wish that
are not going to go on social media to watch it.
Yeah.
They're gonna go on TikTok or Facebook to watch other stuff, but not really to gaming or esports. Not yet, I think.
No, for sure not.
Yeah. Okay, and one thing I also wanted to talk about, like, how do you view like esports in storytelling? Like, what do you see it as a strategy moving forward? Because that's something we lacked in the previous years. Now we're doing the live talks. We're doing some reels with students. But where do you see that going, advancing?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I think luckily on the branding side of things, like creating like a persona for Esportian, we're still in like super early phases where it's really in flux. We can kind of decide how to go. And I'm in a lucky position where I have a bit of say in how that voice gets shaped. So first, for me, it's important. Like, I mean, this might sound so fictitious or a little bit too creative, but I would like to think of Esportian as like a legal personality, which it is, but like just an actual character. Like, who would that character be, and what role do they have? And the way I see it, that they're supposed to be that fun uncle, like someone who has that maturity and someone who's there looking out for you and is someone you can lean on. You can't go to your parents and talk about games and university, but you can go to the fun uncle. right? He still has that authority. He can talk to your parents and he can support you going forward. So that's the way I see it. And then I have to think about, okay, well, what's the story we're trying to tell with our task? Like we could pivot into like, we're a charity and we're here, like supporting the hell out of people who are looked down upon or are undervalued, which I think is true, but I don't think that's quite right. So for storytelling, I think it starts with, what do I want people to feel when they interact with us? And then I can build a character around that. And then I can create a voice for us on social media, how we would talk to people. Yeah, the storytelling element is still really early, but it's super important. Like a lot of things are operating right now on like a problem solution basis, and we are too, to some extent. But if we can create a narrative around that, about like the journey that an esports player goes through without Esportian, and then the story with us, like if you can create an actual story out of it instead of just like, yeah, like a problem solution, I think it's much more compelling. And for some reason, we trust that more, even though it's ultimately the same thing. And that's a big reason why I really like Esportian, because what we offer is truly a good thing. I know that sounds like, I'm biased, right? Of course, but I really believe in what it is that we do. So it makes it super easy for me to be motivated to work longer and come up with more creative ways, because I don't feel forced to do it. I like what we do, and I think if I was younger and in a position, maybe if I was a little bit better at video games, just a little bit, I would make use of Esportian's services back then. And I know there's plenty of people. Just yesterday, I was speaking to a cousin of mine who I was like, hey, check this out. And he was like, holy shit, I didn't know you can do that. I was like, I know, this is kind of a problem we have, actually. So I know there's people who really want to people who want to do that. So we're kind of like a little superhero as well. So yeah, the story is still being made. The character still has to be finalized. We're somewhere in my head between a hero and a fun uncle. And then where we go from there, that's still to be decided and implemented, I guess.
Yeah, it's not easy,
No,
like
no.
not having, like a competitor with a similar model than ours, a direct, because we have indirect competitors, but like a direct competitors. And yeah, but it's about, finding, and hopefully one day other agencies that are formed by the students we send will copy us, and I'll feel super proud that they copy us, because it's better, they copy us and we innovate, that we're copying. So
yeah, for sure. And the more of us there are, the better. I know, like, not to like be critical of us, but right now we're mainly focused on the US, and I think it's only a matter of time before people start showing up doing the same thing we do for Europe or for Asia or something. I wouldn't be surprised if there already exists something in Asia, but that would be great. Like, yes, we want to do that too, and maybe that's annoying for us if other people do it first. But I think it's really good for the scene, for esports. So yeah, whose side am I on? I just want what's good, right? For esports, because that's the main aim here, is to keep esports alive.
What are some marketing trends that you're seeing in the esports industry?
Some trends. Well, something that I really looked up to in the last year. There's a League of Legends team, tier 2, and I'm sure if any of my friends are here watching, they'll be super sick and tired of me talking about them. But co-streaming, I'm sure has become super popular, especially in League of Legends, with Cage being massive. I think on top. I think outshining Riot's organic, like their own views. He decided to create a team called Los Ratones, with I think 3 content creators and 2 ex-pros, something like this. And they decided to stream everything. So from scrims to like what happens after the scrims, how they implement feedback to the actual live games, like the professional games. They're tier 2, but they're professional games. And I think that takes us back to like the 2013, 2014, where in the gaming houses where they all lived together and they would just get their phone out and film something really stupid. I think we're seeing a trend that we're going back towards authenticity. People are getting tired of the cookie cutter like approach to everything super nice, everything sponsored. If there's a YouTube video, even though it's nice to get new content from the team you support, you can see that it's like staged. It doesn't feel real. I want to see someone accidentally swear. I want to see someone scream. I want to see some real emotions. And we're seeing a movement that way. And I love it. I think as nerdy as it sounds, like watching Los Ratones play, to me feels like I'm watching a group of friends because I see all their reactions. Nothing's like filtered, and we just get that raw thing. And I just feel part of it, and I'm really excited for what that means going forward. I think also with I wouldn't call this marketing so much as esports innovation, but it works both ways. We saw fearless draft being added to League, a new like way to swap out the meta. We're seeing also like in traditional sports too with Kings League and Bowlers League, like they're changing the games to make them more marketable, like more viral, and a little bit more, innovative. And I think it speaks to the status quo that things are getting a little stale and they need to get more quirky, which is also another way to say that, hey, there's like a formula and everyone can see it. We need something, we need some spice. And I think Los Ratones caught the wave right at the start, and they're setting so many trends going forwards. We'll see how they do going beyond this year, but I think they are, I think right now the biggest thing in League of Legends esports, which is where like in my free time, that's what I'm looking at. I can't speak for Rocket League or other esports for sure.
Many collegiate esports programs are also like now focusing on creating content that is authentic, putting their students there behind the scenes, everything like that. And I think it's an amazing way to go. And also it's going to catch eyes outside collegiate esports.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, we are like working on spreading the word, but I think, like collegiate esports as a whole is doing more and more as the years pass, like a great job at like spreading the word as well, which help us all in the industry as a whole. So
yeah. I mean, I think
in the content, in the good authentic content,
Yeah, I mean, it's like with the authentic content, like there's this like magic with video games and gamers as a whole. Like we can be vastly different people, but at the end of the day, if we're at a big crowd and I find one other gamer, I already know how to talk to this person. Like there's like a bond that all gamers have, and the fact that we just kind of cut the bullshit and we just get each other. And what's annoying is as esports got more and more popular, they started following the trend of traditional sports where like the greats like Roger Federer or Cristiano Ronaldo, they're like gods among men, but there's this huge divide between the fans and the players. But in esports, these guys are gamers just like we are, and so we know. And so it's so strange to see them being put on these pedestals. I just think it's not part of the gamer culture, and I think we're realizing that now when people do authentic behind the scenes stuff and more down to earth and less orchestrated. We like that because that's what being a gamer means. Like we don't do that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a vacuum there, and I think the trends will go in that direction.
That's an amazing approach. Made me think, maybe like as you're talking, it made me think, okay, what can we do next?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go to the audience. They wrote a few
Sure.
questions. Okay. We have Jules here.
Mm.
Do you think going back to more genuine content, it will change sponsorships, like traditional brands being more hesitant to join the industry?
Yeah, for sure. Like the thing with genuine, authentic, like, yeah. So let's say, I don't know, an example would be if something happens, like there's a big event happening and you're live streaming it, and you have like a reaction to it, or something happens and you react in a certain way that isn't on par with what the brand wants, or the brand persona, or something, that's going to reflect badly on the brand. You're going to get fined for it, or you're going to have to do something to make up for that sponsorship or whatever KPIs you promised. So the risk goes up for the brands. But I think you'll see slowly that certain less strict, like I don't know, I think McDonald's would never want to do anything authentic. They're really and Coca-Cola, they're really focused on like being perfect, right? But Burger King, they're a bit spicy. They'll do something a little out of the box. You'll see brands like that are a little bit more daring. They'll get in and they'll accept the risk, because that's just part of how it goes. So I think, yes, you'll see like a contraction, like some brands will step out, but then you'll see the people who couldn't get in, and they'll be more accepting of those risks. I guess there's always a risk when you sponsor influencers, because you never know when an article is going to come out about something they did in their childhood. Like there's always a risk, right? But if it's orchestrated, if it's scripted, you can reduce it as much as you can.
Yeah. How does Burger King interact with gaming? Because I know, in your work with Play the Game, you guys work with Burger King as well. Like, and I saw like previously you guys doing a few activations, with Burger King. How does they?
Well,
were you not involved with Burger King?
I wasn't involved, but I know of one campaign that they did, and it's quite surface level. I know there's more intense activations. I know there was one. Actually, I know of two. Actually, one was when Arcane came out. Arcane, the League of Legends Netflix show. They did a menu with Burger King based on the Arcane characters, so it's not like the most complex of things, but it worked really well. Then I think they also did like what's it called? Like volleyball, but you play football. I don't know how to. There's a word for that sport. They did one of those in like a Spanish Burger King and filmed it and so on.
Footballing.
But that's football. Yeah.
Whoop, I guess having cut off. There you go again.
With football, but that's not so much gaming. But yeah, no, there's things. There's ways to do it, and you can get really creative with it, especially with a brand like Burger King, who's more outgoing and a little bit more has a higher risk appetite. They're easier to work with in that sense.
Amazing. Then Saki has a question. Is there a specific marketing campaign that you really liked and maybe you can or want to implement in Esportian?
Yes, there is. And I, with our previous social media manager, I was asking him to do it. I might do it. I might do it for fun, but it requires two people. I don't know if you know of the Twix marketing campaign where they had the left Twix and the right Twix. It's my favorite thing. So a packet of Twix, the chocolate, comes with two bars. One's on the left, one's on the right. And they did this campaign where it was made by two brothers. One brother does the right Twix and one brother does the left Twix, separate factories. And they like have this rivalry where the right one's better. No, the left one's better. They're the same. I really like that. So I thought it'd be fun to have someone sign off on our Twitter post. So, you put a post and you sign off, I don't know, Cavin, and you put like opinion A. And then the next day, the opposite opinion and like a little insult to Cavin signed off with Ivan. and then you create this rift in between our, like a little rivalry within. And I thought that would just be fun, like to do.
After, let's talk and see how we can make it happen. You know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I would love to.
No, honestly, like in terms of marketing, like there was like, I think Stephen Bartlett, like a guy from the UK, very influential business owner. He mentioned that one of his successes of his agency was that they have like a what's the word in English? Like a not a trampoline, but like a slide, okay, in the middle of their office, and they took photos, and it became viral, you know, and that's why why they knew them, you know. So it takes one, you know, to make like, okay, like this is Esportian guys, I remember like the activation they made. It takes, you know, it's this, you know, it's one time thing that can blow up, you know. So it's about, you know, just validating, getting it wrong, learning, boom, 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 boom. There's no other trick.
But that was actually to the question you said earlier, and we talked about like, you know, the persona of Esportian. That was actually what stopped us from implementing something like this, which was like, okay, well, who do we want to be though? Because this sounds a little bit more rebellious, a little mischievous. Is that the persona that parents are going to like if they see our Twitter, if they even go on our Twitter? So these are the types of considerations. Yeah, but these are the types of considerations we're thinking about, right? Like, who are we? Which, I guess that's a bit deep, but yeah.
Kevin,
yes.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to mention?
Yeah, there was one thing, which is we talked about like my approach to things and so on. And for the most part, I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity to work with you guys, because the esports market for people coming in is a bit daunting. It's kind of hard to get in. And I would want to say, to put it on like on the record, where it's, I think that the thing that helped me the most to do this was at one point realizing that just applying and waiting to kind of get permission to do something is not the way to be successful at it. And I wouldn't even call myself like successful at it yet, but there was a shift where I could do something like in I don't know if you can do that in traditional sports, but in gaming you can create like your own thing, and you can create your own experience, and you can just put yourself out there. And it's really scary, because you're gonna, like, people are gonna say that you suck, and people are gonna say like, they're gonna say no and so on. But ultimately what made me shift mentally was just fucking doing it, you know, just trying stuff out. And I know that some Saki and some other people that I studied with at as well, they saw like we tried to create like a little high school tournament, and we sent out to certain high schools like an idea. Just got completely ignored. But like that mentality of trying to do something yourself, I think is super valuable. And so for anyone who's trying to get into esports, my advice would be to just, keep applying and keep looking, but then also just come up with something you can do yourself that you don't need to rely on so many other people for. And that shift in mindset will find.
Again, Kevin. I don't know what's up with it. Let's see if he connects in the next. Oh, there you go.
I think the computer's overheating here. But
okay.
That pretty much sums it up from my end.
Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. And besides the two on off, we made it, you know, to the end. So.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Well, there's another question from Saki.
Sure.
But, okay. On a lighter note, when we have Esportian Paddle Meet, you have also given any thoughts on that, or are you too focused on helping Esportian marketing efforts at the moment?
So for the Paddle Meet,
I think you guys are not going to be in the same team. That's what I sense. That's the only thing I sense.
No, of course not. Although I'm sure Saki will push to be on my team, because I think he's scared about what's going to happen. I haven't given it much thought to Saki, because I'm not really concerned about it.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
great to have you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great.